Hello everyone, I'm Overhaul, and today I'll be doing a video explaining exactly why the Big Mom Pirates do not suck. The usual disclaimer at the beginning. I am not a kid-specific channel. Although the topics I'll be discussing might seem very kid-specific, they are not actually aimed at kids, because I will most likely talk or describe or just say the naughty words that are not safe for children. So if you're a child, I would seriously advise you not to watch this. This. So yeah, with that out the way, let's get into it. Another thing should probably mention is the fact apparently it's going to be really hot today, so I have my window open for now because then I'm going to have to close it, so you might hear some cars driving by or trucks. So I'll try to speak as loudly as possible so you will be able to hear me, but try to ignore it for now. So yeah. Now, I think a lot of people may notice in One Piece right now is that all of the fan base doesn't really like the Big Mom pirates. Like, they are calling them the joke pirates, the meme, the big meme. Like, in general, people do not like them. The only exception seems to be Karakuri because, in all honesty, he has a pretty awesome some fight, and how even in this volume, I believe he was ranked second best Charlotte family member, which honestly, I'm not sure exactly where the popularity pool came from, but I consider the fact it's in volume 87, which, and I would say the best moments come around volume 88 ending and the beginning parts of 89. Yep, says a lot about Karakuri. But as for the entire organization in itself, people just do not like them. It's either they say how Big Mom is the weakest Yonko, how she's a big meme more than anything else, or how Smoothie sucks. Sucks because she doesn't do anything. In general, people do not like them. Now, in this video, I'll be explaining to you why why your opinion is. Well, technically, it is still valid, but I'm gonna explain to you why why you should reconsider your opinion on making fun of them. And one of the main things I feel like is the problem with the Big Mom Pirates in itself is the fact that if you look at the story and the fact that a lot of fan base scales characters based on portrayal, then Big Mom Pirates would get the worst portrayal because they don't have the same importance in the story as some others do. And since portrayal is largely or is very important part of the importance you have in the story. I mean, for example, the third strongest in the crew well the third strongest in the crew will not have the best portrayal. Well, except for yeah, third strongest will not have the best portrayal in like I don't know, like let's say which will be a good example. Let's use Shora from the priest from the Skype arc. He would not have the best portrayal. Like, he having the portrayal, compare him to, like, I don't know, Don Kuro from the Black Cat Pirates, sure could beat Kuro in a fight. But because Kuro was the main villain in that arc, he will get better portrayal than he does. That's the thing with portrayal. Importance in the story matters a lot. And the Big Mom Pirates have the least amount of it. Because Whitebeard Pirates, they were an end of an era. When Whitebeard fell and was defeated Marineford, that's where his era ended, and that's when the era of the supernovas of our Luffy generation really began. So obviously he will have amazing portrayal, even if, in all honesty, we can make the argument that he is the weakest Yonko crew in itself. Maybe not the weakest character, maybe not the weakest Yonko by a long shot, but in terms of like crew strength, he could be considered the weakest. Then we have Shanks, who is a major reason why Luffy wants to be the king of the pirates, right? He has that drive. Obviously, even if he is the weakest Yonko, which I am suspecting to be the case, he would have the best portrayal because he has a major part of the story. So even if his feats are confirming that he's a Yonko at least, or at least he can fight a Yonko, and get completely slaughtered, he'll have by far who had great portrayal. The Blackbeard seems to be one of the main villains, possibly the main villain. So obviously he's going to have amazing portrayal. Kaido was the main villain since Punk has it and was built, and every arc was pretty much building up to him in some form of way. It was either for the allies of the crew or by just characters in Whole Cake Island mentioning him and see how they viewed him. So yeah. But Big Mom Pirates, they do not have that. Meaning they would obviously have worse portrayal than the other characters. Now, another the argument people like to make is that they just are incompetent. They don't accomplish anything. Except when Karakuri orders them around. Alright, for one thing, they are villains. They will not be able to accomplish anything unless if it's backstabbing another villain. Which, I don't know if you know this, but during Whole Cake Island, there were not that many evil organizations that they could just slaughter. Sure, there were the Germa and the Underworld Brokers, but the Underworld had nothing to do with the Big One Pirates in general, and there was no reason to backstab them, and how even they are unknown to us. While the Germa were later needed to escape, which is another thing we're going to be talking about. So in general, competence of a villain is usually shown through the amount of other villains they can defeat. I mean, that's the reason why the My Hero Academia arc wasn't the League of Villains versus our hero agency and then destroying that agency. Because, well, that's how it's usually used to. Villain organizations are skilled in terms of fighting other villains and to see which one's the better one, that one is stronger and bigger threat to the heroes. It's kind of like why Kaido's some of the biggest show of competence with Kaido was him cutting Orochi's head, no questions asked, just like, oh, Orochi is questioning my idea of what I'm going to do with Onigashima. Alright, King, sword. Thank you. Shing that. That's one of the things. That's what makes the Beast Pirates showing competence. So yeah, while the Big Pirates do not have that. They were basically their own thing for the most part. Like if there was some other pirate crew to really show competence, they would probably have it, but because they don't have it, they didn't. That's why we got the supernovas being the only ones shown off. Because there was no other way to use it. I mean, they were not major things, and the only thing we know is that they were unsuccessful in even seeing Big Mom, except for Beijing who sneaked in so he could betray them there, but that's it. And I would like to remind you, during the entire arc, especially during the chase, the Big Mom Pirates were winning. The only reason why they didn't win at the end was pretty much for everything they couldn't plan for. Like, could it burst? How many other pirate crews actually have something like that? Or Pedro sacrificing himself by blowing himself up? Like, how many other crews would have someone like that? The Germa showing up the final minute before Arvin and his army will be able to kill Sanji and Luffy? How could have they planned for that? I mean, they couldn't have planned. The entire time, pretty much every escape wasn't because Big Mom Pirates were incompetent, it was because the Big Mom Pirates just couldn't plan, and because, well, Oda wrote it in a way so they could always have a way out. I mean, no matter how close they get to Big Mom, to the Big Mom Pirates to eliminating the Straw Hats and the allies, they're just not gonna be allowed to do it because, well, let me tell you a quote from the video game Nefarious. It's a switcheroo with the villain being the main character, but yeah. Let me read you what happens if you go with one ending where the villain conquers the world. He says, the funny thing about villains winning is the fact that a villain only has to win once. So yeah, if we look at that, that is utterly and completely accurate, because if you think about it, if let's say the German got wiped out when the big empires were invading that kingdom, it would be over. There would be Sanji and Luffy would have been killed. If Oven succeeded in destroying the ship, or at least damaging the ship enough so they would not be able to travel around, the Gecko would have been taken, the captives would have been killed, and hell, unlike the fighting pirates who let Big Mom away, they would have probably just, stay there. Then the Big Mom will jump there and eat it, while the other ones will continue destroying the ship. And hell, if maybe they're just gonna wait out of their range for Big Mom to destroy the ship and then show up to feed them the cake. So, yeah. Or any other ways. Or hell, Karakuri beating Luffy. If Luffy would have lost that fight, then the Straw Hats would pretty much be surrounded. At that point, it was a losing battle. Or hell, Beidou didn't blow himself up, Big Mom Pirates would have won. Like, there are so many times and moments where the Big Mom Pirates could literally beat the Straw Hats, but because of some, this out of nowhere, something they probably didn't even expect showing up, they escaped. Pretty much every single feat was like this. Like, throughout the entire arc, it was, for the entire chase, it was like, Big Mom Pirates, closing in, nearly defeating the Straw Hats, but then this escape card characters show up or move or technique or something that's only for this specific occasion is used, and then they escape. That shows confidence in the Big One Boss. Until the very ending, no matter what the Straw Hats shown up to give the Straw Hats a win, they were able to counter and able to almost capture and win again. It's just again, they cannot win. Again, they are a villain organization. They cannot win against the main heroes, except if it's a temperamental victory, like if it's doing the Orange Army. Sure, the Orange Army could have won because, well, they were only going to capture Luffy and Nami, and put them in a jail book. While if they lost there during the chase, it would be over. Now, let's talk about specific characters. The two characters who I see the most people talk about is Big Mom and Smoothie. Let's start with Smoothie. The answer is, Smoothie is not the only commander who has an arc and she doesn't do anything. In fact, in all honesty, considering how much it was to show off in this arc, it makes sense that Smoothie would fall under wave signs. For example, this arc was around, I believe, 78 chapters, and we had to introduce Big Mom, which although we got glimpses of her before, we didn't get much about her. Then we had to introduce some of the Sweet Commanders, which Cracker and Karakuri is definitely a were pretty good in their introductions. Then we had to introduce some other members, for example, the Ministers. After all, you can't just have the Yonko commanders be the only ones of worth. So we had to introduce like Perospero, Mondor. Then we had to even introduce lower ranks like Baron Tomago, or some other things, and really establish this is a Yonko territory. And for that reason, some characters would have to fall on the wave signs. Remember, again, this wasn't just introducing the Big Mom Pirates or major long arc. However, from what I've heard, it seems like this wasn't even planned to be 78 chapters, for God's sakes. Consider everything. So yeah. The Big Mom Pirates fought, but they lost because of, So yeah. it was a lot of things to go from. We had to introduce the fire tank pirates. We had to introduce the German pirate. Well, establish would be better. Right? We had to establish the fire tank pirates, establish the German, the Jinbei joined the crew, the Straw Hats, Carrot and Pedro. So we'll feel something when they die. Never when Pedro dies, and Sanji's character. Like we had a lot of stuff going through in a very as that short arc. I mean, let's be fair. I mean, Jack was already established in Zou, and I mean, let's not pretend like King is exactly well established right now in Wano. I think Wano will soon have more than Whole Cake Island. But yeah, it was Big Mom Pirate, and yes, we've just fall on the wayside. I mean, again, granted, I feel like some of the problems is also the fact that she was taking orders and she fell pretty easily for that track by Pedro and Brooke. And the fact that during the discussion what they were going to do, she was just like matching the Rager's poison while she was wringing the poison out of it. And the fact that she was running away from Big Mom, but honestly, those are pretty much just supposed to be shortened scenes. I mean, think about it. How else are you gonna, think about it. Let's pretend like Smoothie exactly was, alright, no, I'm gonna stay there in the vault while everyone else goes chasing after them. The plan would fail, legitimately. Some of the decisions made by the Big Mom Pirates only really exist so the Straw Hats could possibly succeed, because if they didn't, everyone would fall. Again, a villain wins once, hero, and they're pretty much supreme. The only reason why they enjoy me was because the Straw Hats were now in danger, and for the unexpected ally later. So yeah. And that's the best example on Smoothie. And also, let's be fair here. How many commanders have really shown their worth? Karakuri, Cracker, Jack, and Marco, Vista, Jozu, and I guess you can also include Vista. And Burgess if you want to. And even Burgess, I'm honestly questioning if Burgess should be considered there. I mean, most of the Whitebeard pirates, except, Marco, Vista, Jozu, Ace, I forgot about Ace, and I guess Izo were pretty much nothing. 16 divisions, and yet only 5 are worth something. Everyone else was pretty much pointless. I would even question some of those who even commanders. Right here, Shanks' pirates, Band Blackman is the only one of note, but even the only thing he really did was he pointed a gun, defeated a couple of bandits, pointed a gun, and Kizaru is stay right there, Kizaru. And Kizaru's a troll captain, for God's sakes. He's literally supposed to troll with you. So that's why we know his whole, scary, was a joke. So yeah, White Pirates, their strongest character was only able to scare a troll captain for a couple of minutes. Or seconds or something. So yeah, not really impressive there. And yet they're supposed to be the crew that's the strongest. Again, remember, all the fanbase consider Red Pirates the strongest pirate crew currently. And yet their commanders literally do nothing even though they were from the first chapter. Yeah. So, the next thing we have the Blackbeard Pirate, which Jesus Burgess is the one who's the best established from the entirety of the commanders. I mean, we don't even know who the 10th one is. And I wouldn't even consider Jesus Burgess, and I would at best consider Jesus Burgess Toby Roper level. And that's me possibly being generous. And yeah. And yet, they're the main villains. I don't get shit upon, even though, again, they've been in the story way longer than, honestly, Smoothie herself. And they are the main villains. And then we have the Beast Pirates, which, yes, Jack and Queen are very good, have been established very good, throughout the Zou arc and the Udon and the second act of Wano. But as for King, sure, we've seen him being somewhat badass, and currently in the main part of in the Act 3, since we got back to the present, was pretty solidly established with him knowing how the Toby Opa are going to act, with him immediately while you're missing a beat, getting ready his sword for Kaido to cut Orochi, but and him kicking off the ship, but that's it. And I think about kicking off the ship, I would like to mention, there is another time where Oda just has to right away for the Big Mom Boss not to show up, because then it would be pretty unlikely for the heroes to win. I mean, are you seriously telling me there's no way for Smoothie and Daifuku to make the genie so big he can carry the ship? I mean, the guy was already shown to be ginormous, and I don't see why they couldn't capture some fish, and then just have Smoothie take all of their juices into her to make her large and then combine with the genie. Yeah, another time where Oda just has to write them away because they'll be too big of a problem later. Now as for the Big Mom. Notice, I really like the idea of a character who can basically destroy the world or conquer the world with their sheer power, but they just are not the most skilled and the most knowledgeable when it comes to using it. It may sound like it's not really a good thing, but let's be fair here. How many supreme overpowered badasses do we have who then get somehow miraculously defeated, and then, let's be fair, completely, basically boring as all hell? So, Big Mom's whole power to destroy the world, but in the mind of a child, that's not a bad choice. A pretty good choice, in fact. And now, it's not like Big Mom is a complete and utter idiot. I mean, for God's sakes, that assassination plan with the German was pretty smart. I mean, to have a phone site now, alright, if we team up, we are clearly not going to have the kind of like subordinate like the Fire Tank and the Sun Pirates, which granted they betray them later, but they're the only ones we can use as examples. But yeah, the German will not follow the same way. Then, another thing she was really smart to do was, well, the fact that as soon as she heard Prometheus screaming that the moment the shorts are in the brothel, she went there and transformed and gave a couple of those little equipments their souls so they could go and capture Nami. I mean, that was pretty intelligent and tactful of her. I mean, sure, she's a idiot, not the smartest character. In fact, if someone makes a top 10 or top 5 stupidest characters in the series, I'm sure that she'll rank somewhere there, but I mean, to say that she's completely and utterly idiotic is not true. She's shown that she knows who the allies are, her strong allies. She knows how to make an way to assassinate people. And let me remind you, if it wasn't for the Fire Tank pirates and Shroud Pirates assassinate on her, she would have assassinated German and got their technology. Hell, every time the Big Mom Pirates fail is more because, well, some other character who is barely related to the Big Mom Pirates just doesn't, do it. Does something that they were not expecting. Like, or just do something that's not really beneficial to them. I mean, they will get the Giants if Lola married Loki, and she will have them. If the Germa's wedding plan followed through about the assassination, she will get their technology, get their cloning equipment, and sure, it will take some time for them to find out how they work, but I'm sure you can find someone that could help them. I mean, they got Caesar on that way, and Caesar's experiment with the giganticism seemed to be, well, I guess not completely bad. I mean, the kids did become giant. Very horrible way, but they did become giants. I'm sure they can find someone. And I'm sure that if someone more competent, like, I'm sure there are notes and something. How? If the only people who are gonna get executed were George and the German siblings, well, in that case, just force the information from the scientists who work there. I'm sure George isn't the only one who knows how it operates. I'm sure that after the first batch, he gave the scientists there. So yeah, every time the Big Mom Pirates do something, they are competent, but it's just that because of the story not allowing them to win because of obvious reasons, they unfortunately just come out more as a joke. But even though they could, in all honesty, be the strongest pirate crew, I mean, just if you put the combination of their numbers, their non-dark fruits to their dark fruit users, as well as the types of dark fruits they have. I mean, in all honesty, between the Big One Pirates and the Kaido Pirates, I would put the Big One Pirates above them purely because the abilities they have, and they seem to just have greater numbers. As well, the same thing with every other crew, except for the Blackbeard Pirates, because we largely don't know how their ranks really break down outside of Blackbeard and the captains. But that's, yeah, really it. So yeah, this is my video on why I don't think the Big Mom Pirates suck, why they're actually a pretty strong organization in themselves, a very intimidating one. But anyways, I hope to hear what you think. Do you think the Big Mom Pirates, did I manage to convince you the Big Mom Pirates are great? Do you still think they are, I don't know, they are just the big meme pirates? Tell me all in the comments below. And with that said, I cannot wait to see all people next time. Bye.